of TCA. So denying that anti-tank up in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, and also Alfari's played a lot of Trundle, so it's definitely in his repertoire. He had really good games on it. I think he played it versus Exertus specifically. Nidalee and Graves, so Nidalee always banned out against Impaler, though we've started to see Nidalee bans come through every single game so far. She's very oppressive in the jungle, top tier jungler if played correctly. Graves being banned out as well, just something I don't think that the guys from TCA want to see. And after an Alistair, Lulu and Poppy from Renegades, it is another Gragas first pick here, albeit we didn't really see the game that Gragas got first picked in, but it is again more prioritization put on that champion.
Yeah, I think so long as Nidalee's banned, Gragas is pretty far and away the best jungler. I definitely think he has the most impact on the game. Just he has a lot of damage, but also that reliable, very easy to land CC.
Kalista not banned again. Kalista is not banned again.
And there it is.
And there it is.
And there it is. You've got the Kalista Braum as well, which is a lane that they've consistently been running. Hiva has played a lot of Braum across the
Threshold Braum. It's been Threshold Braum almost every single game. Alistair being banned away means they can't pick it up on the side of TCA. And this is just... I mean, look.
Yeah, you've got to question why the Graves is banned instead of Kalista.
Yeah, I'm going to hold my hand up and say, if Hiva goes off on Kalista again and carries the game, either teams are too proud to ban it, they don't think it's worth a ban, but I definitely think it's worth a ban.
Yeah, I mean, Kalista is a ban that we see in other games anyway. We saw it in the first game of today, Kalista was banned.
And although they were good Kalista players, that you're not talking about like
Yuki.
Hiva, Yuki level Kalista players.
Anyway, Thresh and Corki going to be locked in, and that's going to be followed up by Quinn and not Kalista. I forgot the name of the champion. Kindred. That's the one that's coming through.
So this is again
380 carries.
We saw this in the very first week, I believe, from or maybe in the qualification tournament from Renegades. It was
last time they played this comp.
I don't think they played it into Exertus. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check. I think they played this competition where they ran.
We've definitely seen them play it anyway.
They didn't run Kindred. They ran Nidalee, and it was Quinn on Alfari top, Nidalee on Impaler. It was one of the weeks that we saw them go very over aggressive and potentially. They were so far ahead, but they could have potentially lost the game. So this is something that the Immortals run as well. They have Wild Turtle on Kalista and Huni on Quinn in that top lane, and you just unbeatable. They have a good split pushers, their team fight's good, and now they've got the protection of the Kindred ultimate as well to help delay team fights if they ever get to that stage too.
Shen going to be locked in though. This is an interesting one because we've not really seen that much Shen competitively. I would expect that to go up to the top lane because typically you're not going to see a Thresh top anytime soon. So fully expect that one to be a top lane Shen. How do you reckon that one pans out up against... well, I'm assuming that Quinn is top. Quinn could be mid either.
It could be, and especially with the hover over that we're getting from Renegades right now. If it is Quinn top, then Shen doesn't do fantastically, but his new kit does allow him to exploit very limited scenarios where he can trade well. So what happens is you'll throw your sword down, you'll spirit dash, shadow dash to land the taunt, then you'll proc your W, which gives you that area around the sword, especially when you're in the area where auto attacks won't land against you for, I think it's like 1.5 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
And then in that time you have the ability to do the damage to Quinn and then get out and try and trade that way. So there is this kind of ability for Shen to trade with Quinn in that scenario, but I actually imagine that he'll never get in range of Alfari to land a taunt unless he goes for a flush taunt with a gank.
Yeah, see, it's all kind of like ideal scenario
that's
that
the
happens,
perfect scenario,
but he's against Alfari. Alfari is incredibly good at staying at max range, kiting away, and I don't really expect Alfari to get caught by many shadow dashes this game, but here we go. Impaler currently doesn't have smite.
He'll have smite. There's no way you take Kindred jungle without smite.
Crossing my fingers.
Interestingly enough, Kadril also picking up his signature champion in the mid lane, and that Ahri that we've seen him play consistently. He played a lot of Lissandra for Copenhagen Wolves during the finals, I believe. Well, the game.
Kadril was a standout player for them as well.
He was brilliant.
Played really well.
Yeah, played really well. And this is his standout UK ESL Premiership champion. He plays a lot of Ahri.
They've just...
He won't. No way is that going to be Ahri.
I believe in the top lane Ahri. I believe they've done it. It's top lane Ahri, ladies and gentlemen. Kadril going with the Quinn in the mid lane.
What?
I am ready for this game. This is going to be interesting.
What?
Yeah. So, Ahri top lane, what do you reckon? Against Shen. I mean, I would say Ahri, in theory, has the advantage there. Kinda. Like, you kind of run out of mana, though. What do you reckon?
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
That face right there is how I feel. In no way or shape or form is Ahri ever going to be a competitively viable top. No way, shape or form. In a normal situation where teams are of equal skill level, Ahri is never going to be a competitively viable top.
You haven't seen my top lane Ahri, that's all I'm going to say about the man. AD top lane Ahri is...
okay, look, in theory, it'll do well against the Shen because, you know, the Shen auto-attack block isn't going to have any effect. You can still land spells during that little... I can't remember what the name of his head, the name's changed, but basically during that blocking, dodging phase that he has when he activates that around his sword, you can still land spells on him. So in theory, it kind of makes sense. I'm interested to whether this was actually intentional or not. I don't know whether they were just like, oh no, we kind of messed up the swap right at the end. But alas, we are actually going to see top lane Ahri from Alphari, and well, interested to see how it goes. I think. Again, we've seen Ahri being used in a split push scenario for Renegades before. That was on Kadril. He basically was in a side lane split pushing by himself.
Yeah. Beyond sort of 15 minutes. The lane phases are incredibly short in Bandito's games anyway, and they usually just send that Ahri to a side lane, so why not have Alphari do it this time?
You've got two teleports, so that indicates 1-3-1 anyway. So you're going to have Quinn splitting, and you're going to have Ahri splitting. You know, with the changes in the preseason, now AP champions do more damage to towers, so they are slightly more viable when going into a split push strategy as well. So the theory is there.
I think this is just the new meta, mate. I think this is the first game that we're going to see it, but beyond today, internationally, Ahri top is going to be the next big thing, and when we head round to World Finals, it's going to be there. Faker's actually going to swap to the top lane because he's so good at Ahri.
Faker's just good at every champion.
I know. It's great, isn't it?
So yeah, look, they got a 1-3-1. Yuki and Hiva on their, you know, some of their signature champions there, and you still have the Impaler playing Kindred, so that's again probably his second most played champion. Maybe Gragas up there as well, but obviously Gragas first pick for TCA. TCA again, I've got a competition where you can allow Shen to split push. You can still fight in the mid game with that Shen ultimate. You want to fight
in the mid game. They have a crazy good team fight.
Yeah, they have an amazing team fight. Corki, Lucian, and the Gragas. All of them are fantastic in that mid game section of the game. That's where they're going to want to be fighting. And at that point in the game with Alphari on Ahri, unless they're just doing a complete lane swap and they're putting Kadril on top and Alphari in mid, you're realistically going to want Ahri in the sort of those mid-game team fights, so she'll have to rotate from that top lane earlier than you would imagine. You know, this could be funny if Alphari just walks mid and then we just have a complete lane swap, and then everything that we've talked about is complete rubbish.
See, I won't find that funny because I'm the one that has to control the camera here, and that swaps my keybinds around. I'm just not.
Oh no, that's true.
Not down
that's
for
true.
that kind of scenario, but fingers crossed we do see Ahri in the top lane, just for my own personal benefit. But here we go. By the looks of things, we are onto the rift. Fingers crossed there's no crazy pauses come out. And we are going to be able to get this game underway for you guys. So it's TCA up against the Renegade Banditos. We'll see who's going to be able to take this one. Ahri up in the top lane in the hands of Alphari. I have no idea how this game is going to go, to be honest.
I mean, I'm still thinking it favours Renegades because they're Renegades, and you know they win the game by just, unfortunately, the plain fact of it being they're just mechanically and superior players. I mean, they're all high challenger apart from Impaler, who's sort of that border between master and challenger right now. So they've just got that kind of advantage in terms of individual and mechanical skill. So I imagine that just based on that, even with this kind of kooky lane setup that you've got with Alphari running Ahri top and Kadril on that Quinn, you're still going to see Renegades do particularly well. Do you know what's so interesting about this swap and what potentially had an impact is that Corki does quite well against Ahri. It's one of the better mid lane champions to pick into an Ahri because he just trades so well once he picks up that sheen. With the phosphorus bomb, even with Ahri landing that spirit dash, with that spirit dash and charm, you know, he just trades very well into Ahri in the mid lane.
Yeah, he certainly does. And I mean, that's one of the things about Corki in general is he just can trade against just about anyone in that mid lane. Once you get the Sheen, once you start to really stack that damage, it's very easy to just burst people on down. But very standard starts coming out from the two teams. We actually see Diabolo starting with his red buff, and Fearless going to help him out there. We do see the lane swap coming out. So Raisins and Ayuki starting off with that Gromp and then heading up towards his top lane. So Alfari going to find himself in a 2 versus 1 as Ari.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting for me, and he's also not going to go around the jungle as it seems. He's actually going to head straight to lane, so this is going to be one of those rare situations where you do end up seeing Ari caught out here. Actually, Thresh is going to move into the jungle, and Thresh is going to try and catch out Impaler at his red buff, it seems, or go for an early gank onto Kadril.
Kadril is getting incredibly low, and we'll be able to flash away in the end.
Yes, some stuff did happen there. Munchable was muted for just a second. I hope you caught the end of it. That was a flash by Kadril, very early rotation, and now Alfari is going to head out of that top lane and start to move around with Impaler, not only to prevent himself being in an unfavorable 2 versus 1, but also provide a little bit of stability for Impaler on this Kindred, who is, you know, a very squishy champion in the early portion of the game. That's kind of how Kindred plays. Relies on her sustain to keep her healthy as she moves around the jungle.
Yeah, it certainly does. And take a look at this. We can see both in the top lane and down in that bottom lane, we've got the AD carry and support going to be pushing away against those towers, and the top laners heading on in to help out there as well. Absolutely ginormous minion wave being used down in this bottom lane. That is going to obviously reduce the MR and armor of the tower, so they should be able to finish this one off. And I would expect this to just be a straight 1-for-1 trade here.
Yeah, they're just going to take a tower for tower here, and actually Alfari already down in that bot lane. Interestingly, Ari still does well. Oh, and Haintung in that mid lane, yeah. Kadril.
Actually exhausts Kadril, and they're looking for the gank here. Diabolo doesn't quite land a flash body slam, but it might be enough. Anyway, Kadril is going to go down for first blood, and Diabolo is going to pick it up.
Nice gank by Diabolo. They had a really nice early roam from Raisins on that Thresh, forced the flash from Kadril, and they got a regank by Diabolo. So this is kind of putting a spanner in the works for Renegades, and are they going to live to regret this Ari top lane pick? You know, this is a good early start from TCA, very aggressive. They're taking the game to Renegades at this point in time.
Yeah. I mean, right now they are slightly down on Golden. We mentioned how they can maybe be a little bit cocky, a little bit over-eager, and perhaps the RE top lane pick is going to be one of those scenarios. But the thing is, so far we've not actually really had just standard lanes anyway, so it doesn't necessarily matter to them that they don't have a standard top lane pick, because it's just down to compositions at this point.
And also, the wave bouncing was bad for Renegades. You can see here that Yuki and Hiva have head towards this top lane with a huge wave. And actually, Luke just pushes this wave out bottom lane. But originally, that wave was pushing quite heavily towards TCA. So they kind of starved Alfari of some more farm. He's at 15. And Impaler now, he's actually taking a lot of turret damage there. 2/3 of his HP, but they are going to get this turret down fairly quickly. They did stack up a huge wave there because Fearless ended up just backing off from this duo lane that came back in. But if you were looking for the standard freeze tactic that you sometimes see after these early lane towers go down, then actually TCA came out on top, but we're not actually seeing that at this point in time. And it's going to be another tower for tower trade.
Yeah, it certainly is. So both in that top lane, it's going to go down, and down in the bottom lane as well, but actually not that many minions, but another wave arrives as I say that, so they are going to be able to trade that one back. Actually, we do see maybe an extended push coming out. The double AD carry is here for the side of Bandito, so they can maybe look to try and pressure this
TCA's backing
tower. TCA are indeed backing, and Alfari might be able to save this tower because Fearless has to back away, cannot finish this one off, so the Banditos managing to get a little bit ahead in this trade.
Yeah, I actually think this has been a pretty poor piece of execution by TCA. They thought that the minions would take down the tower, or they thought that Fearless would have the time to do it himself. They backed off in attempt to save this tier 2 tower and ended up losing their tier 1 tower in the process. So, also not losing their ability to take that tier 1 tower in the process. So, a bit of a poor execution of this potential tactic for TCA, and it's left that Renegades coming out on top.
Yeah, Yuki is completely out of mana though, and could be in trouble for a hook. Raisins Gets denied by the Wolves, though, and that is going to be the Banditos getting away scot-free on that one. So 600 gold lead. They've managed to swing it around from the lead that TCA did originally have. They're going to be able to steal away that scuttler as well.
Oh, look at the pink wards in the Dragon area for TCA. 3 pink wards lighting up that entire Dragon sort of coverage. And also the mark now sitting there for Impaler as well. So should Impaler choose to try and attempt to take that mark, if it's still on the map, he's going to be walking through a hell of a lot of vision.
He certainly is. And on the other side of that, if he goes through there and his team are nearby, they are going to be able to just clear those away and grab that bit of free gold for themselves. But Alfari doing a good job of just pushing up in this bottom lane, making sure that there is pressure coming out here so that the rest of his team can do whatever they want around the rest of the map. So far, I'm curious to see what the next move is here for the Banditos. We've seen them obviously take those first 2 towers. What's the next step for them now?
Well, next step is Alfari.
Oh, Alfari is incredibly low. Raisin's going to be the target though, as Impaler goes very deep for this Mountain Dread, stacking on up, and Impaler can't quite finish the kill. Finally gets it in the end. Alfari so low. Fearless is going to be able to trade this one back across, but Impaler doesn't want to let him escape. The teleport comes through from Cadril, who is incredibly slow right now. Mountain Dread is going to land, but it's not quite enough. And actually, Cadril and Impaler have found themselves in a 2 versus 2. Hatung has arrived.
Top lane,
the
though.
blind going to miss from Cadril. We've got a fight going on in all parts of the map right now because there's a kill up in the top lane. They do manage to find the AD carry all on his own right there. But it looks like this bottom lane tier 2 could be in trouble.
This has been a really crazy game. Smaller skirmishes, no one really remaining to CS as much as possible. Cadril doing a lot of damage. Hatung here.
Oh my goodness, Hatung just gets chunked out. Mountain Dread stacking up onto Diabolodal. Diabolodal, that's what it says. Diabolodal. But he's going to be able to get away in the end. Yuki and Hiva, again, just consistently giving this pressure in the side lanes. This is what we see out of them every game, and it's just so difficult to deal with.
3 culls in this game, by the way, as Fearless goes in.
Yeah, well, he's not going to be able to find his target. Yuki is going to be able to pull his friend away there. And then Blue going to be taken away.
Triple cull, which means that they were expecting to farm for an extended period of time, and given that they've lane swapped, that extra bit of gold that cull provides may come in particularly useful. You see it on Cadril, you can see it on Yuki, and also Luke picked it up himself on the side of TCA. So just a interesting, first time we've seen cull, I think, across all of these games so far. Or maybe, I can't remember in that first game, but I think essentially the most culls we've definitely seen in the game as it stands. So just giving an indication as to how you think Renegades are going to be playing. They think they'll be getting a lot of farm onto Quinn and Yuki, and you can see the farm on Cadril. Look at the difference in the farm between Alfari and Fearless right now. Alfari has found that time to get the farm up towards the closer levels of Quinn and Yuki.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at the damage coming out from Cadril there. We've got Rift Herald, in fact, is going to be started, but denied here. TCA arrive on the scene. They're getting onto Yuki, and they blow him up. This is going to be the Scuttler going across to TCA, so fantastic pickup from them. And this is what we were talking about. Banditos biting off more than they can chew, getting a little bit cocky, underestimating their opponents, and this time they get punished for it. Yeah,
and they didn't spot out or clear that pink ward that was in the River Brush. They saw the majority of the Renegades team head towards that Rift Herald way. Alfari now the target.
He certainly is. If I can find him, Impaler is going to be stood inside that Lamb's Respite, keeping himself alive a little bit. The heal comes out, and actually he's going to be able to get behind Hiva, who will use that Unbreakable to protect him. And here comes Cadril. He's looking for kills, but he can't quite find his targets. And they will be able to get away.
Okay, that was very close. Impaler brilliantly timed Lamb's Respite, but it should give the time needed for TCA to head onto this mid lane turret. So all in all, it'll eventually be kind of a win for TCA at this point in time, and now they're going to pull ahead in gold after 10 minutes. This is unheard of for Renegades right now.
It certainly is. 11 minutes on the clock and a 600 gold lead, or 400 gold lead in fact, for TCA. So definitely not the craziest of leads we've seen in the Premiership, but they're certainly going to be happy to be ahead at this stage in the game. 3 kills to 2, even on towers, 0 dragons taken, and that's the key thing here. Excuse me, that's the key thing here, because we haven't seen the Banditos play around Dragon at all because they've just been in such quick games. Do you think Dragon might now be an objective they look towards?
Kind of. You can see Impaler starting off, but most teams will pick up Dragon as a convenience. They'll never really look to prioritize it that heavily. Yeah. This has been one of the criticisms of League of Legends in the past few weeks. It's been that Dragon as an objective just isn't worth fighting over because it doesn't really provide you with much. Yeah. You can see here again, are they going to have the time to finish this one off?
To some extent, it's almost like you only want Dragon if you've got a late game team composition, but if you've got a late game team composition, how do you take Dragon? Because you're not going to be able to win that mid-game fight. So it's kind of a, it feels like there isn't that much of a place for Dragon buff with the game currently how it is. So
most people have complained at how Dragon has little to zero impact in the majority of games as it stands. It forces, it basically makes lane swaps a more valuable tactic because you're not bothered about swapping your stronger 2 versus 2 lane away from Dragon because Dragon's not worth fighting for in the early portion of the game. In fact, Rift Herald probably is more contested. So therefore, it makes sense to go for the 2 people in the top lane where you can look to contest Rift Herald more effectively. That's just how League of Legends is right now. But you can see Alphari double farm of Fearless, who's had a little bit of a struggle in terms of keeping his farm up here. Going to be TCA taking away that bot lane tier 1 eventually, which is very good for them.
Yeah, they've now got a 1,000 gold lead for themselves. So TCA are feeling good in this matchup. But now they've taken down all of these tier 1 towers. They've got through that kind of exterior shell. Can they turn this into anything more? Now, how do they proceed with this one? Do we see them just kind of go for a siege setup, or do we see them go for the 1-3-1 this time?
They definitely need to be proactive. They need to be looking to fight around this portion of the game, especially as soon as Hatung finishes that Trinity Force. That's really where I think we'll expect to see a group and attempt to force fights with TCA, because that's where their composition kind of shines. You are going up against a Blade of the Rune King finished on Yuki, and also an Abyssal Scepter on the Ahri. So there are power spikes being hit in smaller senses for the Renegades, but it's not as big as that potential Triforce finish for Hatung. So just look for that Triforce to be finished. I think they're not going to rest on their laurels. They want to make sure that they capitalize on their advantage. They know they're going to be ever so marginally ahead at this point in time. Yeah. You just got to expect them to carry on, and if they become complacent, I think this is where they will struggle.
Yeah, I think once Hatung gets this wave, he should be able to base and pick up that Triforce, or at least he'll have the gold to do so. Obviously, you don't want to base at an inopportune moment, but we'll see when he just decides to go back for that one. As they head towards, they're trying to head around this Baron area a little bit, I think, but Rift Herald isn't going to be available just yet. Hatung finally going to head back to base. Blue buff going to be given over to Kadril here. And we do see the Triforce finally finished here for Hatung. So that is going to be a huge power spike. You can obviously see as well the Essence Reaver in the hands of Ayuki. So right now TCA need to be looking for fights. And in fact, they found one onto Alphari. That's going to be the Ignite from Raisins. Picks up the kill in the end. And Stand United channeled onto Hatung as well. I think they were maybe looking to try and start a fight there, but couldn't quite find the targets.
Really great play by Raisins there. He was looking to save the Flay for the Spirit Dash or Spirit Rush, but that wasn't the case. And then they also just managed to use the ultimate to finish him off, and the kill went over to the Ignite of Raisins eventually. And now TCA probably still looking to fight here. They've got a big advantage. Yeah. I think they're going potentially for the Rift Herald at this point in time.
Fearless has left though. Ayuki having to flash away. Where are the support and jungler? That's the question. Diabolo needs to get over here as soon as possible. Teleport going to be channeled by Alphari. And look at that Orb of Deception damage coming across. Nobody going down just yet. Lamb's Respite is going to be procced by Impaler to keep Hiva alive. It looks like both teams going to decide to back away. I really feel like Raisins and Diabolo just needed to be there. Had they been there, that would have been a one fight.
Yeah, I think that would have been a one fight for TCA and a huge turnaround for them, giving them the gold lead that they needed to push their advantage. Unfortunately, Luke and Hatung just unable in a position to deal with the whole of the Renegades lineup themselves. Diabolo and Raisins, they were just fixated on taking that Rift Herald, which they didn't even manage to get in the end.
No, I think they were clearing vision. I don't think Herald had even spawned at that point. So
they were spending a long time there. That's all I could see on my map. I just saw them in that pit for a very long time.
Yeah, I don't know. That was an interesting one there, but we're not going to see Yuki heading back towards his mid lane, and Hatung has found him is going to get spotted by a ward, though, so can't do anything too crazy just yet. But Haytoon, 1-0-1 on that Corki, he is feeling incredibly strong. And in fact, this is one of kind of the strongest points you're going to get when you're playing Corki. So he's looking for these fights, but rightly so.
Yeah, I think he should be looking for these fights. He needs to make sure that he doesn't rest on this power spike. It's something that makes him stronger than most other AD carry or mid laners in the game at this point in time. He's very, very powerhouse, damage-heavy champion. He used that special package to get away from a gank in that mid lane. Unfortunately, that is one of his bigger points of being the champion that he is. He has that ability. Heaver now going to potentially have to flash.
Yeah, he doesn't have flash on cooldown though, and he is going to be going down. That one's going to be picked up by Diabolo. 2-0-2 now on that Gragas.
Again, there's no defensive vision here from Renegades. They don't seem to recognize that they're potentially behind in this situation, and TCA are just exploiting that. Although these kills are coming through, TCA still managing to maintain a very slim gold lead. Renegades aren't really that far behind. They're nipping at the heels of TCA, but they're continuing to make these mistakes. And they could be Impaler.
Yeah, Impaler in a 1v1 right there. Haytoon does win out in damage overall, but actually I think that was Mounting Dread that procced a little bit late there and does end up evening the trade.
Mounting Dread, you have to wait for Wolf to travel to get that Mounting Dread proc off, but it does happen. I think regardless of the distance, it just takes a little while for that to proc.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that one. As we see Diabolo getting this Rift Herald and potentially getting the Rift Scuttler. I called Herald Scuttler earlier, and now I'm calling Scuttler Herald, but either way, getting ready for that Herald. That's the main point here. And Cadril trying to get the damage down onto Fearless, who's managing to slowly but surely push this bottom lane back out again. But here we go. Haytoon is coming into the bottom lane. Shadow Dash is going to lock Cadril up, who just gets burst down by Haytoon. One more auto will be enough. And that's a kill coming across for TCA, who are managing to slowly but surely snowball this game.
Yeah,
Impaler's caught as well. Diabolo going to get a lot of damage down onto him. Ayuki trying to get into this fight. Culling coming across. The knock-up lands from Heaver onto 2. But actually, Raisins flashes for this one. Shadow Dash onto Yuki, along with a Death Sentence. That's a dead AD carry. And TCA are looking on 4.
What is going on in this game, Munchables? TCA, they're going to lose a turret in that top lane to Captain Alfari pushing, but they definitely have the swing here. They're going to push down the mid lane to try and pick up their own turret in return. This is something that I don't think Renegades expected themselves to be in. This is a situation they're definitely not used to. They are on the back foot right now, and they're losing skirmishes.
And this is the thing that we've said about the Renegades compositions the whole time. We've not seen it as an example just yet, is the compositions they run are so squishy. If you're not ahead, it's incredibly difficult to actually win those team fights. You just get burst down on any champion. So it's going to be very difficult, actually, for the Banditos to kind of reclose this gap and get themselves ahead in this game. Fearless in the mid lane right now as we see another Shadow Dash go out. Heaver going to be the target. Death Sentence gets him.
Oh,
that's another kill.
goodness.
Impaler going to be knocked up here. Beautiful cask will knock Impaler. Lamb's Respite does come out to keep him alive, though. Will get the heal off, and Captain Alfari Spirit rushing into the fight. Cadril just gets blown apart, though, and Alfari has to Spirit Rush away once more.
I'm sorry, but they're just not respecting TCA right now, and TCA are biting back at every given opportunity. I don't want to say it, but our top lane, Ari's not really working out very well for you, is it? That lane swap that they initiated and putting Cadril in the mid lane just hasn't been to great effect. They haven't given Yuki the time needed. He hasn't been put into that 2v2 matchup, and the tactics employed by TCA right now are working out to their advantage. It's not won yet. There is a huge amount of work for TCA to do as of yet, but this is the closest we've seen a team take Renegades thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a phenomenal performance from TCA. 2,000 gold ahead. They've got an advantage.
Look at this
in terms
Corki
of
as well.
powers as well. But look at Heaver. He's trying to get this deep vision, but it looks like he's going to get caught. And that is flash burnt once more.
Raisins going for it.
Raisins is going for it indeed. They don't have much damage to follow up here. This is just support and jungler. Throws out that dark passage, just waiting for Ayuki to get there, but Heaver has no flash. That's going to be the face call, though. Yuki does manage to save his support in the end, but that's a couple of huge cooldowns basically for nothing.
Again, they're going for this deep vision. I do like people going for deep vision, but you have to make sure that when you enter the enemy's jungle, you haven't been spotted, because you're such an easy target then. Diabolo, failed his body slam, but it didn't matter too much. And Raisin's hooks this game have been on form. Every single time he's needed to make a hook that is clutch to pick up a kill, he's been doing so. And with that Shen in the side lane, there'll always be someone to answer to the split push.
Look at this minion wave as well. They are going to be able to take this out unless something changes dramatically in the next few seconds. He does indeed have that package available. That's another tower for TCA, extending that gold lead. The kills are 9-2 right now. Banditos, where's the team we've been seeing for the rest of the season? They're just not able to get anything on against TCA right now. And TCA looking to make a statement. I was saying before this game that honestly the Banditos looked to be a team that couldn't be beaten, but TCA really proving me wrong on this one.
If I'm completely honest, it's the overconfidence that we're seeing from, and we saw it from Champ Select. I mean, what team in their right mind is going to send an Ahri top lane? Like, you know, I have never seen that competitively for a reason.
Yeah. Well, I guess my dreams of the AD Ahri top carrying are just willowing.
And look, he's going to get caught out again because there's very little defensive vision. He's going to have to run forwards, and he's... Oh, he's going to teleport coming through.
Yeah, teleport going to be channeled here. Actually does get cancelled in the end, the teleport, and they're going to keep on chasing onto Alphari here. The red buff slow is going to be there. Culling comes on through. I feel like they're committing a lot to this chase right now, while Banditos can do stuff elsewhere. Banditos are looking. We've got Kadril pushing down in the bottom lane. This is Fearless will answer though.
This is a good chase. He's actually going to try and teleport away here.
Here we go. He is going to go for the TP. The damage isn't quite going to be there. And in fact, I keep pressing my mid lane binding for Ahri. But here we go. Raisins is actually caught up underneath the tower. Stand United, he's not going to be anywhere near enough to save him right there. Heaver goes in, gets the knock up onto 3, but is it going to be enough right now? That's going to be a flash forward for the knock up onto Yuki, who just gets burst.
This is amazing.
And he is going to be going down. Ayuki grabs that one for himself. And now they're onto Heaver, but Kadril manages to get the kill onto Diabolo. And now he's getting chunked out himself. The flash taunt lands onto Kadril. That's a double kill for Ayuki. And they're looking for more. It's just Heaver and Impaler remaining right now, as Alphari is nowhere to be seen. He's just finally arrived.
Yeah, but this has managed to even up the gold, kind of. It's only a 1k advantage again for TCA after that mid lane turret went down. They definitely took the bait that Alphari provided and allowed a little bit of an advantage to be regained by Renegades, but this is a very close game now. It's only a singular tower advantage for TCA, and as soon as that evens up, Renegades should be a-okay in terms of their goal. But like you said, very squishy competition. Who's going to be the front line versus this Shen and Gragas in this game? No one is going to have that opportunity. Impaler stacked that Devourer and gone for rapid fire cannon as well. And like I said, that's a build that I said last time we saw Impaler play Kindred. So the Devourer is something that he very much gets behind. He prefers it to the Warrior on the Kindred, just thinks he provides it with so much more damage in the mid game as well. So I think they're really relying on Impaler to do the damage here. Yuki now has 2 items. He is getting towards that stage where he's an incredibly good Kalista, or at least a scary Kalista. But again, Haintung is the real driving force behind the TCA damage right here, and he can deal with that Kalista. Corki is a very good champion to deal with Kalista. So if TCA can keep it up in terms of these team fights, they could potentially close out the game from this mid game.
Oh, Kadril does get caught by Shadow Dash here in the bottom lane, and that's the trade that you were on about when we discussed this lane matchup. Fearless managing to start to out-trade his lane opponent right there. Heaver has been caught once more. Diabolo and Raisins have been standout kind of duo for me this game. Diabolo is going to get into the middle of everyone. Stand United will not keep him alive, though. I feel like he went a little bit too deep for that one, to be quite honest.
He probably could have kited back with that Stand United and then maybe looked to turn once Fearless turned up. What are Renegades going to do off the back of that? Kadril heading up with that ultimate, but they have just picked up the kill. Oh, the flash charm from Alphari.
Doesn't quite land, but Culling chunking out these members from the Banditos that not feeling all too healthy. If this fight goes, even if it's 4 versus 5, with the health bars as low as they are for Banditos, it could easily go the way of TCA. Dragon about to spawn as well.
This should be free dragon, so it'll be the second dragon, gives them a little bit extra damage to towers, which could prove pretty useful in this kind of decent siege composition that they're running. So they're going to get that one off the map, and that will no longer be an objective to contest for the next 6 minutes, I believe. 5 minutes, I believe. 6 or something.
6.
Yep, 6 for some reason.
Just think 5, 6, 7 for buffs dragon and Baron.
I did second guess myself. I was thinking it's definitely 6, but for some reason my head's not working today very well.
Mine's not not the best it's ever been right now, to be honest. A little bit full of cold here at the ESL UK studio at the minute. It's not great, or at least in terms of my throat, it's not.
Okay.
Your turn to talk for a bit.
Sorry, I was just giving you a sympathetic look.
Oh.
It's hard to be a caster.
Sad panda right
You're
now.
a sad panda. So, I mean, okay, TCA obviously haven't had a fairly significant advantage. This is probably the hardest we've seen Renegades fight to keep themselves even, because we never had to see, well, to be honest, it is the hardest because we never had to see this before. TCA, they're just kind of feeling like they're struggling right now. They haven't seen them pick up anything extra for about sort of 4 or 5 minutes. And they're starting to feel the pain of this 1-3-1 that the Renegades lineup has. Hiva again going very aggressive.
He is indeed. He was trying to protect that pink ward. Is going to be able to get away on the Fate's Call though. So not the end of the world
Kind of
for him.
forces the Fate's Call for no apparent reason. Actually, the move up from Fearless means that this could be Kadril picking up the turret now.
He's at least looking for it. Ghostblade going to be popped here. Fearless is about to arrive on the scene. If he can maybe get a flash taunt or something right now, he's going to be able to protect the tower at least. Kadril does have to back away, and in fact he's going to use teleport, but package denies it, and Kadril will be going down here. Haytung picks up that kill, but we have a fight going on in the mid lane. Raisins going to be tanking up a lot of damage as Hiva gets that unbreakable onto so much of the culling.
Oh, here we go.
There's the Stand United to pick up a kill. Raisins grabs that one. Ayuki looking for Impaler right now. Impaler just desperately trying to escape. His Alfari has been found all on his own, and he has to find his own way out of here. Spirit Rush is going to be available though, so shouldn't be in too much trouble. But TCA again just finding these advantages.
Again, the Shen proving to be... Oh, they're going to go for Baron. I'm not sure I totally like this.
Well, I mean, they have a 2-man advantage right now. It's going to be a difficult fight for the Banditos, but it looks like they want to go for it anyway. Baron down to just under half its HP right now. The smite is going to be available on both sides, but Impaler's been caught up by Diabolo, who's going to be able to back away again. TCA have peeled away from the Baron. Alfari's so low, but Lamb's Respite is going to keep everybody alive. Alfari knocked up. It's 1-for-1 so far, and they're looking for more right now. Yuki going to be caught by the exhaust. Haytung crits him for so much damage. There's a double kill. Raisins is looking for Impaler. Don't know if he's going to be able to find him, but the reinforcements are here from the Banditos. Kadril and Hiva have arrived on the scene, and suddenly it's 4 versus 3. Fearless manages to get the taunt at the last second. It's Impaler going down. Hiva once again has been caught by the death sentence. Culling going to get a double kill here, and now Kadril looking for a kill on Fearless, but he can't even finish that one target. Kadril just desperately trying to escape at this point. Doesn't have his teleport. Raisins is going to be looking for the hook. Doesn't have his flash available though.
Yeah, they're not going to get the Baron off the back of this, I don't think. Diabolo, they're going to teleport in. They're going to go for it.
Yeah, they are indeed. Impaler's not going to be up for 20 seconds. They're not going to have their smite here, though. That's a big issue right now for
coming
them. Kadril's still around. We are going to see Alfari teleporting in as well. They might be able to deny this one, or it might just be down to whoever can get the damage on in. It's going to be going the way of TCA. Kadril goes down as well. They get the Baron. They get themselves a kill, and they are on triple the kills of the Banditos with a 4,000 gold lead and a Baron. TCA, what is this game?
Who would have thought this? I mean, talking to a lot of people, they thought, I mean, I won't name names, but people have said to me, I don't even think TCA deserve to qualify for the Premiership. People said that to me during the qualification tournament. And I was like, no, I think TCA are a good team. And they're proving it right now. This is the closest we've seen. And look, admittedly, it's a bloody Ari top munch. It's not exactly the most competitively viable top laner you've ever seen in your life. But TCA are making good decision-making. They're having really great picks. They're playing to their strength competition. This is the first time in a while that I've seen a Corki used so effectively. 7-0-7, for goodness sake, on Haytung. He's made some ridiculously good plays with that package. But for all that stands, you feel like TCA should be miles ahead of where they are. Just based on how these fights are going, you think this would be a 10k gold advantage in most games.
Yeah, I mean, the Banditos are certainly, even at this point when it feels like TCA is so far ahead, the Banditos still aren't out at this stage. However, Fearless is pushing with a ginormous minion wave in that top lane, and we've got a 4-man push going on in this bottom lane as well. This might just be a tier 2 tower, and this is the last tier 2 tower that they need.
Look at the minion wave at the top lane as well.
Now, this is the siege for the base right now. Fearless going to be leading that charge up in the top lane with that minion wave, and here we go in the bottom lane with 4 men pushing on through. They have a decent siege composition. Look at the damage onto the tower. That was just 1 minion wave. They managed to get half of the tower's HP down. They're going to be looking to do exactly the same once more here as they push on in with this minion wave. Look at it drop. Hiva's caught by a death sentence once more. Fate's Call going to pull him to safety. Culling channel onto Kadril. Impaler has to use the Lamb's Respite so early in this fight. Kadril caught by another death sentence, but it is going to be 1 kill going across to the side of Banditos. Alfari jumping into the backline, and actually TCA health bars are incredibly low. Alfari caught by a death sentence though. He's He's going to get chunked on down, but the kills are going the way of the Banditos so far. Fearless drops as well. Hatung has to Valkyrie away. He just does not have the damage right now, or he does! Manages to pick another one up, but it's only Raisins remaining, and the Banditos manage to clutch themselves a team fight. 4 for 1. Raisins going to go down. There's the ace and the double kill for K-Droid.
Oh, that was so sad for TCA. They pushed the turret. They just played the team fight really awkwardly. You know, they hooked onto Cajal. No one could follow up on the hooks that Raisins was making because they were all a little bit too scared of getting too close to the lineup. I think it was a little bit late for Fearless to teleport in there. It was far too late for the Shen ultimate for me. He should have been in as soon as they saw Alphari. That Shen ultimate should have come out. And it's just given a huge chunk of gold back in favor of the Renegades. They're even going to get this mid lane tower off the top of it and probably even up things completely. So all of that hard work that TCA has put into putting themselves in this position is kind of starting to come undone now. And they just need to do what they've been doing all game. They need to just keep things solid. Don't make these risky plays. And again, they need to be Fearless needs to be far more quick with that Shen ultimate. You know, as soon as Alphari appeared in that team fight, he needed to be ultimating straight away, to get in there and try and attempt to get a huge shadow dash off to allow Hatung that free time to move through and just do the damage that he needed to do. He did pick up a singular kill, but it was basically a 5 for 1, which is a great trade in favor of RNG.
Yeah, it really is, and we'll see whether... I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves right now. There is still a 2,000 gold lead just under.
But it means less and less as the game goes on. You see, 2K gold lead at this point in time, it doesn't mean as much.
No, it doesn't. But they are at least still even. It's certainly not Banditos taking the lead just yet.
No. But it's the lead that TCA had. You see,
yeah. They have certainly thrown away a lot of the lead that they did have, but here we go. They did manage to take the inhibitor tower, and they're looking for more. Raisins just getting absolutely obliterated. Stan United comes on out. Impaler forced to use that Lamb's Respite as Alphari jumps into the backline and will pick up a kill with the Orb of Deception. Here we go. Diabolo gets a knock up onto Heaver, and it's going to be Hatung finding one as well. Heaver trying to get away, but he is going to be crit on out. Hatung jumping forwards, exhausts Yuki, but can't finish off the kills. Ayuki can't finish him either. It's a triple kill for Impaler. Another ace for the Banditos in exchange for just 2 kills.
Yeah, heartbreaking for TCA right now. They really, really wanted to push that advantage in the bot lane, and that was all because essentially one of the key playmakers from TCA, Raisins, just got locked up by a charm over the wall. They obviously had no ability to put vision down on the enemy base. They were moving up, but if there's no vision of the enemy when you're moving up towards that inhibitor, you have to be suspecting that something could happen. And actually, in a massive turn of events, we could see the first inhibitor of the game going over to RNB. No, they're just going to take the inhibitor turret.
Yeah, Raisins is here. Diabolo's just spawned as well, so they're not going to be able to take the inhibitor just yet. But I think the Banditos have kind of just realized, hang on, actually, we're in a little bit of trouble here. We need to start to pull ourselves together and play a little bit more seriously.
I mean, the damage that they're now putting out is pretty huge. Yeah. Yuki's picked up a Mercurial Scimitar. He'll be...
Fearless?
Fearless?
Why are you there? What
Impaler,
is going
that's
on?
why.
Impaler's been found out here. Does have to flash. Shadow Dash rolls on cooldown, so can't quite finish anything off on that one. I was a little bit concerned for Fearless right there. I wasn't 100% in agreement on that one, but does manage to get away with it in the end. And it's going to be Baron in 1 minute and 13 seconds. That definitely could be the objective that wins or loses the game here.
This is kind of getting towards the late game now, where there are just so many threats on the side of RNB. They're not quite sure who they have to focus. End of the day, Diabolo's not really a threat, and neither is Fearless in the same sort of sense that you're speaking of on the side of RNB's threats. So you have to allow Hatung and Luke to do all the damage that TCA needs to take down all of the threats. And now the items are starting to even up. In fact, Yuki's even ahead in items compared to Luke now, just through a CS advantage that he has. So they're going to look to stack up around this Baron. There is lack of vision around this Baron area for RNB. They're maybe hoping to make a pick here.
You might be right on that one. The pink ward is going to be there. 30 seconds until Baron spawns, so they're certainly not going to find anything just yet. But as I say that, blue trinket is going to deny the catch that's looking to come out here. And that's kind of the thing. You can't really go for those trap bushes really anymore with the introduction of that scrying orb trinket.
It makes it difficult, for sure.
There's not really any reason for a team to face check anymore with that one. So
no.
they're going to be able to continue to control the vision though, but there is a scrying orb available. It has just been used. So now there's no scrying orb available, but look at this mid push.
Yeah, RNB, they're just saying, do you know what, you can bait Baron all you want, we're just going to go for your mid lane inhibitor. And that forces TCA to reposition. Oh, Raisins is caught again.
He is indeed. Diabolo going to be able to tank the brunt of this damage. Stand United comes on through, but Diabolo just gets obliterated. And now we see Fearless has to come all the way from the base. The Banditos with beautiful positioning just manipulate TCA, force them to take a jungle path that is just not a good one to go down. They're going to be able to take an inhibitor.
And realistically, that was again Raisins getting caught by a charm. 2 fights in a row, Raisins has been picked out, and this time it was Diabolo that had to step in. I mean, look at the level advantage that Diabolo has to compare to Impala. Impala's level 16, Diabolo level 14, Yuki level 16. There was even just everywhere a slight level advantage for RNB, and now they're going to give away this Baron, and with Impala having, well, just the damage that they have on everybody, this is going to go down too quickly for TCA, and I think this is going to be awful for TCA. They're now overstepped.
Oh, there's a 3-man taunt coming out of Fearless, though. They're looking to turn this into a fight. Fearless tanking up so much damage. The rent isn't quite going to be enough to finish him off just yet. And look at this. We do see the first kill coming across onto Haetung, though, which is bad news for TCA. Ayuki does trade one straight back across, though. Fearless is going to fall, as well as Raisins has found himself between a rock and a hard place here. Going to be slowed down, going to be stunned up, and going to be taken out. Impala grabs that kill for himself, and now it's just Ayuki gets finished off by Cage or Diabolo. Last man remaining is going to be able to get past to his base, but there's a Baroned up super minion charging towards these Nexus towers, and there are 50-second spawn timers on the players for TCA.
It's heartbreaking for TCA. They was the closest that any team has come to beating the Renegade Banditos, and some tough mistakes made.
Diabolo does go in, but he's not going to be able to do anything there. That is the last Nexus tower going down, and that is the Nexus itself dropping as well, 22-22.
Oh.
And it's TCA taking the Banditos to a 38-minute game. So
longest game of the split for them so far.
I think that's the longest game of the Premiership so far.
Yes.
To be quite